Hello, friends. Do you keep making plans every night but wake up the next morning doing nothing at all? Today, you will finally understand why you are stuck in this endless loop of planning without action. If you miss this conversation, you might spend another year just talking about your dreams instead of living them. So stay with us because this one is going to hit close to home. And with me today is my good friend Søren, who just finished reading this book and honestly could not stop talking about it. Hi Søren, tell me, what made you pick up this book in the first place?
Honestly, Sia, I picked it up because I was tired of myself. I was that person who had a new plan every Monday. New diet, new routine, new business idea. And by Wednesday, everything was back to normal. I thought this book would be some motivational nonsense. Like those quotes you see on Instagram that make you feel good for 5 minutes and then you forget. But Sia, this book actually made me uncomfortable. Not in a bad way, but in a way where I had to look at myself honestly.
That sounds intense, Søren. What exactly made you so uncomfortable?
The very first chapter hit me hard. The author writes about the importance of taking action, and she does not sugarcoat it. She basically says that most people spend their entire lives talking about what they want to do. They make lists, they make plans, they tell their friends about their big ideas, but they never actually do anything. And the worst part is, they convince themselves that planning is the same as doing. I realized I was exactly that person. I had notebooks full of goals, but zero results.
Wait, Søren, but planning is important, right? I mean, you cannot just jump into things without thinking.
That is exactly what I thought too. But here's the thing, the author explains. Planning becomes a problem when it becomes a hiding place. When you use planning as an excuse to avoid the scary part, which is actually starting. She says the discomfort of starting something new is temporary, but the regret of not starting lasts forever. And that line just stayed with me for days.
That is actually so relatable. I think a lot of us do that. We keep researching, keep preparing, keep waiting for the perfect moment, but that moment never really comes, does it?
Exactly, Sia. The author says the perfect moment does not exist. It's just something our brain creates to keep us safe. Because our brain hates uncertainty. It prefers the comfort of dreaming over the risk of doing. And that is why so many talented people end up watching others succeed with the same ideas they had years ago. Because they waited and someone else just started.
Okay, that actually hurts a little. But Søren, what do we do about it? Like, how do you actually start when everything feels so overwhelming?
This is where the book gets really practical. The author says start small, but start today. Break your big goals into tiny actionable steps. Like if you want to get fit, do not plan an entire workout routine. Just walk for 10 minutes today. If you want to start a business, do not create a 100-page business plan. Just write down your first idea. The point is to build momentum because action creates motivation, not the other way around.
That's interesting, actually. We always think we need motivation first and then we'll take action. But you're saying it works the opposite way?
Completely opposite. I used to wait until I felt inspired. I thought inspiration would come and then I would create something amazing. But the book says motivation is a result of action, not a cause. When you do something small and complete it, your brain releases dopamine. That dopamine makes you want to do more. So the trick is to just start, even when you don't feel like it. Even if it's imperfect, even if it's messy.
Okay, but Søren, what about fear? I think a lot of people don't start because they're scared of failing. That's a real thing, right?
Absolutely real. And the book has an entire chapter on this called Fear versus Regret. This chapter honestly changed how I think about fear. The author says we're all afraid of the wrong thing. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of what people will say. We're afraid of looking stupid. But the real thing we should be afraid of is regret. Imagine being 70 years old and looking back at your life and realizing you never tried because you were too scared. That regret is permanent. But failure is temporary. You can recover from failure. You cannot recover from never trying.
That gives me chills, honestly, because I've definitely avoided things just because I was scared of failing. Like, I remember not applying for a job once because I thought I wasn't good enough.
And that's exactly the trap. We reject ourselves before anyone else gets the chance to. The book shares a story about someone who had a brilliant idea for years, but he never acted on it because he was scared. And then one day he saw someone else launch the exact same idea, and that person became successful. Can you imagine the regret, knowing that could have been you if you had just started?
That's painful to even think about. But CERN, how do you actually overcome that fear? It's not like you can just switch it off, right?
No, you cannot switch it off, but you can face it in small doses. The author suggests identifying the things that scare you, and then breaking them into tiny challenges. Like if public speaking terrifies you, start by recording a video of yourself talking, just for yourself. Then maybe share it with one friend. Then maybe post it online. Each small step reduces the fear a little bit. Fear thrives on inaction. The more you avoid something, the scarier it becomes. But the more you face it, the smaller it gets.
That makes so much sense, actually. It's like building tolerance slowly. Okay, what else did the book talk about?
There's a whole chapter on decision making. And this one was eye-opening for me. The author says decision making is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But most of us avoid making decisions. We ask others to decide for us. We overthink until the opportunity passes. We wait for more information even when we have enough.
I'm so guilty of that. Like, even for small things, I ask other people, what should I do? Where should we eat? What should I wear? It feels easier to let someone else decide.
But here's the problem with that. When you avoid small decisions, you weaken your decision-making muscle. And then when a big decision comes, you're completely paralyzed. The book says practice deciding quickly on small things. What to eat for breakfast, which route to take, which task to do first. These small decisions train your brain, and over time, making bigger decisions becomes easier.
That's actually such a simple shift, but I never thought about it that way. What about overthinking, though? Some of us just can't stop analyzing everything.
The author has a beautiful line for that. She says the perfect decision does not exist. The act of deciding itself creates progress. We spend so much time trying to find the perfect choice, but life doesn't work that way. Most decisions aren't permanent anyway. You can always adjust later, but if you never decide, you stay stuck forever.
Okay, so basically decide, act, and then adjust as needed, instead of trying to figure everything out before starting.
Exactly. Don't aim for perfect, aim for progress. And speaking of progress, there's another chapter that really helped me. It's about procrastination. And the author says something that surprised me. She says procrastination is not about laziness.
Wait, what? Then what is it about?
It's about fear and distraction. Sometimes we procrastinate because the task feels too big. Sometimes because we're scared of not doing it well. And sometimes because we're just surrounded by too many distractions. The first step is identifying why you're procrastinating. Once you know the reason, you can address it.
So, like, if I'm scrolling my phone instead of working, that's distraction-based procrastination.
Exactly. And the solution for that is creating an environment that supports your goals. The book suggests removing distractions physically. Put your phone in another room. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Create a workspace that makes focus easier. I started doing this, and honestly, it made a huge difference. When my phone is not next to me, I actually get work done.
That sounds so simple, but I know it's hard in practice. We're so attached to our phones.
We are, but awareness is the first step. The author also suggests breaking tasks into smaller pieces. If something feels overwhelming, divide it. Instead of writing a full report, just write the introduction today. The hardest part is always starting. She says the first 2 minutes of any task are the hardest. If you can push through those 2 minutes, the rest becomes easier.
The 2-minute rule. I've heard of that, actually. Just commit to 2 minutes and see what happens.
Right, and usually what happens is you keep going. Because once you start, momentum takes over. The brain stops resisting and starts engaging. This is why starting is so important. Not finishing, just starting.
Okay, Saren, we've talked about action, fear, decisions, procrastination. Was there anything else that really stood out to you?
Yes, one more chapter that I think everyone needs to hear. It's about embracing imperfection. And this is probably the most freeing chapter in the whole book. The author says perfection is the enemy of progress. So many people never share their work because it's not perfect yet. They never launch their idea because there's always something to fix. They never post their content because it could be better. But here's the truth. It will never be perfect. Never. And waiting for perfection means waiting forever.
This hits home for me. I have so many things saved in drafts that I never posted because I thought they weren't good enough.
And that's exactly the trap. We hide behind perfection. But the author says something beautiful. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start to become better. Every imperfect attempt teaches you something. Every mistake is a lesson. Mistakes are not the opposite of success. They're part of success.
That's a mind shift for sure. Friends, this was today's book summary. Please let us know how you liked it by commenting below. And thank you for listening to the summary till the end.